Hello everyone, and welcome to Shell Point Today for the weekend of May 27th, 28th, and 29th. I'm Mary Kay Grimaldi.
And I'm Rich Nation. Thanks for joining us today. On today's show, our thoughts turn to Memorial Day weekend as we bring you a riveting story about resident Tom Wilcox. He served in the Army during World War II aboard a B-26 bomber that went down over Holland. And we'll recap the top stories from earlier this week.
But first, don't forget Saturday that you can take part in a LifeQuest discussion group. Fitness coordinator Hannah Hosterman will discuss the many roles a personal trainer plays and how this can be beneficial when starting a new exercise program. Learn about the many benefits of exercise, such as weight loss, muscle toning, posture, energy, stress reduction, and more. Join Hannah in the Grand Cypress Room of the Woodlands at 10 a.m. on Saturday.
Also Saturday, you can enjoy some shopping at 50% off. That's right, at the Community Thrift Store, you can shop all day and enjoy 50% off pricing for everything in the store.
Everything. And looking ahead to next Tuesday, you can enjoy dinner at Fishtail Grill in Cape Coral. Voted the best of Cape Coral 2013, Fishtail Grill by Merrick Seafood offers everything from fresh salads and fried seafood baskets to homemade soups. And of course, delectable fresh fish entrees such as cranberry, macadamia, sea bass. The cost of the outing is $8 with dinner on your own, and court pickups begin on the island at 4:30 p.m. Sign up and come on out.
Memorial Day is an American holiday observed on the last Monday of May. It is a time set aside to honor men and women who died while serving in the U.S. military. Originally known as Decoration Day, it originated in the years following the Civil War and became an official federal holiday in 1971. Many Americans observe Memorial Day by visiting cemeteries or memorials, holding family gatherings, and participating in parades. On this weekend of Memorial Day, we'd like to present to you a story of one of the living heroes who fought for our country and makes his home right here at Shell Point. Tom Wilcox was drafted by the U.S. Army and trained as a radio operator and gunner who flew 67 missions aboard a B-26 bomber before the plane fell out of the sky. Here's Tom to tell you in his own words just what happened.
I grew up in the outskirts of Talmadge, Ohio, in the Depression years. Of course, we were poor folks, but so was everyone else. We kept a big garden. Mother did the canning, put food on the table. Then came the infamous day, December 7th of 41. And my brothers and I and a neighbor boy went to a movie in downtown Akron, Ohio, Sergeant York, starring Gary Cooper. After the movie, on our way home, the newsboys were standing on the corner, "Extra, read all about it." We wondered what was going on. We got home, my mother was crying. Dad had a very somber look in his face. I said, "What's the matter?" Dad said, "We're at war. The Japs bombed Pearl Harbor." Well, I was drafted a couple years later, and I was sent to Columbus, Ohio for Fort Hays test to see what I'd be qualified to do in the Army. Well, the test proved that I was qualified to go to the Air Corps. And then I went to St. Pete for basic training and got a new uniform and more tests. It proved I was qualified for radio operator mechanic gunner. I was sent to Scottsfield, Illinois for my radio training. We had to learn the Morse code and how to work the equipment. I did real well in the gunnery training because I was old enough to pick up a gun. I used it. I went hunting every winter. I went hunting with My granddad was a deer hunter, and he took me with him and taught me how to do that. So I did well at the gunnery school. They put you in a truck and drove around the area where they had targets set up. And we had to learn to hit a moving target while we're moving. Of course, flying off an airplane with a machine gun. 50 caliber machine guns is what we used. We went to Lakeland for overseas training, formations and how to drop our bombs on the target. We were issued a B-26 Martin Marauder, a 6-man crew, by the way. Pilot, co-pilot, bombardier, navigator, radio operator, mechanic, gunner, turret, top turret, and a tail gunner. 6-man crew. And we named our plane the Old Wind. The Old Wind blows no good. Finally ended up at the end of the war, it ended up with the best record of any of the bombers. On our first flight, the captain didn't like the way the plane was running. He said it was straining to keep flight speed and it was using too much fuel. The captain said, "I'm not too happy with things going. We're going back." So he turned around and flew us back to where we left. And they had come to find out when they opened up the engines that somebody had stuffed wads of paper in the air intake, sabotaged the plane and disconnected the pump. So we had enemies all over. We got our training time in. We flew up to Gibraltar, up the French coast to Scotland. And a little aside there, I had our buddies went into a restaurant to get us a cold one. And there was a cute little waitress, and I said, "I'll have a spot of tea." And she said, "We don't serve it in spots, we serve it in cups." They about laughed me off the seat. We flew our first mission. We had several of the planes had some damage, but no casualties. On the second mission, we had 2 planes lost. They ran into one another over a heavy overcast. And we had it in England. It seemed like it was more common to have overcast and clear skies. Yes, it was. Our bomb runs were difficult. We had the Germans had their 88 anti-aircraft guns, and they were fairly accurate with them. And they said if we got in 50 missions, we could get 30 days at home. And then they changed it. Fly till you get a replacement. And my replacement came. And my target was in Holland. That was to be my last mission. And I get to go home. We get a briefing on the target. There wasn't any red around the target, and that meant gun replacements. There was red around the target area. And for this particular target, there wasn't much red around the target area, and we thought it would be a milk run. At least we hoped it would. When we got to the target area, it was overcast. So the pilot said we were going to go around. So on our way around, we got terrific explosion and the plane shook and I rolled over and landed on the ceiling. We got the plane straightened out. I pulled my gun in and opened the window. And I let the tail gunner out and the turret gunner out. And I started to go out and my phone jack was dangling. I thought at first the radio was shot out. And it was unplugged, so I plugged it in and I heard the pilot talking to the co-pilot. "Are you all right?" He said, "Well, then help me hold this thing." I butted in and said, "This is Wilcox. I got the tail gunner and turret gunner out. Should I go?" And he said, "No, wait a minute." And finally, the co-pilot said to the pilot, "The engine's smoking." The pilot said, "It's on fire. You better get out, Wilcox." And he didn't have to tell me twice. I dove out.
And now it's time to take a look at today's happenings, Academy news, menus, and Village Church connections.
Welcome to the weekend edition of the Happenings segment of Shell Point TV. I'm Bev Chandley.
And I'm Caitlin Van Scoy.
We're going to go over the activities offered for you Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're going to start early this morning with a 7:30 departure for a long day trip to Arcadia, this antiquing in Arcadia, and lunch at Mary Margaret's Tea and Biscuit. We leave at 7:30 from the Island Court, 7:40 from the Woodlands, and 7:50 for the Eagles Preserve and Estuary. At 8 o'clock, the men's round robin tennis will be going on at the Woodlands tennis courts. And the stamp ministry will be down in the tunnel in the stamp room at 8:15. At 8:30, we have our Friday marketplace and administration courtyard that goes from 8:30 to about 11:30. At 9 o'clock, canasta and samba both are played in the second floor of the Woodlands lobby. The Pavilion Auxiliary Orientation will be in the Osprey Room at 9:15. And at 10 o'clock, we have the men's match play tennis down at the Woodlands. Our Inquiring Minds group will be in the Manatee Room at 10:15. And we also have at 10:15 the Model Yacht Sailing Group down at the Woodlands Commons Lake. Moving into the afternoon, we have a 12:30 mixed progressive bridge game at the game room of the Woodlands. We have a Health Connections class, Zumba Fitness, Session D, in the Tarpon Room at 12:45. At 1:15, the Quilters will be in the Osprey Room. And we have another Health Connections class at 1:30, Beginner Martial Arts, in the Manatee Room, and that's closed. We have Vespers today at 1:30. That's in the community room of the Arbor. At 1:45, we have advanced table tennis down in the Tarpon Room. It goes till 2:45. Bid Euchre will be in the Sable Room of the Woodlands at 2 o'clock. And at 2:15, the water volleyball group will be at the Life Quest Aquatic Center. We have another Vespers in the community room of King's Crown at 2:30. And at 3 o'clock, we have ballroom line dancing. That'll be in the Tarpon Room on the island. Our final Vespers of the day is at the Springs, and that is at 3:30. At 6:45, we have game night at the Resident Activity Center, so gather up some of your friends and head down there and bring a game or find one there and have a good time. Here's Caitlin. She's going to go over the Saturday activities for you.
Thank you, Bev. Saturday morning starts at 8 o'clock with pickleball at the game course behind the Resident Activity Center. Also at 8, the round robin doubles tennis will be available at the Woodlands. Men's and women's tennis will be at 9:30 at the Woodlands tennis courts. At 9:45, duplicate bridge will be played in the Manatee Room. And at 10 o'clock, there is a Life Quest group discussion in the Grand Cypress Room, so make sure you head down there. At 1 o'clock, chess is available in the Library Lounge. Table tennis is at 1:15 in the Tarpon Room, and that's it for our Saturday. Bev, can you tell us about our Sunday?
Well, I sure can, Caitlin. Sunday begins at 9 o'clock with Christian Life Studies in the game room of the Woodlands and also at the Village Church. And then we have our morning worship service at the Village Church at 10:15. That's also broadcast live on Shell Point TV channel 13. We're going to go all the way to 4:15 this afternoon for Latin Size. That's a dance group. They'll be in the Tarpon Room on the island. And we do have our evening service at the Village Church at 6:15 to conclude the weekend. We're sure happy to see you here today, and we will see you back here Monday.
Hello, I'm Terry Kolath with your Academy information for Friday and the rest of the weekend. At 1:15 on Friday, it's time for the Apple, iPad, iPhone, Mac free walk-in clinic in the Technology Teaching Center of the island. Just bring your iPad, your Mac, or your Apple iPhone and your question. We have some new classes coming up next week I'd like to share with you. Starting on Tuesday, May 31st, we have Session 5 of English, History, and Culture. And on Wednesday, we have new sessions beginning for Bridge, beginners and intermediate classes with Susan Willoughby. We also have a new 2-part course to get crafty in the Shell Point Woodshop with Phil Nadeau, Woodshop Supervisor. On Thursday, we have another Academy on the Go, number 3. This tour takes us to Florida Gulf Coast University for a campus tour. And then Professor Adrian Kerr is going to begin a brand new 5-session course. This time he's going to take us through the history of the United States to 1815. On Friday, you have new opportunities to ask your Apple technology questions at the iPad, iPhone, Mac walk-in clinic. I hope to see you in Academy class soon.
Menus for the weekend of May 27, 28, and 29. On Friday in the Crystal Room, the platter is grilled tuna with marinated noodles and stir-fry vegetables. For dinner, it's the seafood buffet for $17.95. The soup is lentil. In the Island Cafe on Friday, it's a patty melt sandwich on rye with fries for $7.75. The Palm Grill has Florida lobster for $23.95 or braised beef brisket for $15.95. On Saturday, the Crystal Room is closed. The Island Cafe has a fried bologna sandwich with a cup of soup for $7.75. And the Palm Grill has prime rib for $20.95. On Sunday in the Crystal Room, it's the Sunday brunch for $17.50. The Island Cafe has a hot dog or burger with potato salad, watermelon, and ice cream for $7.75. And the Palm Grill is closed on Sundays. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Welcome to Village Church Connections. I'm David Pavey, and with me is Pastor Andy Hawkins. We're here to talk about the weekend. Andy, what's going to happen?
Well, it's going to be a wonderful opportunity, as we normally have, for worship on Sunday morning at 10:15, and obviously the choir will continue to glorify the Lord in its ministry, and we're excited about that. I'll be continuing my series on the Gospel of John, which we began a number of weeks ago. The series is entitled Signs of Life. And you might remember that the purpose statement of the Gospel John refers to that, because the Gospel is actually sort of organized in terms of these miracles that Jesus did that are signs. They signify something. They teach us something. For instance, Jesus fed the 5,000 because he wanted to teach us that he's the bread of life, that kind of thing. So anyway, that purpose statement says that these signs were written so that you might believe, and by believing have life in his name. Yeah. So it's a life-invigorating gospel, if there ever was one, and so it's always a delight to study it and a delight to teach through it, and I trust that that will be the case with our congregation. We're still in the first chapter, first few verses actually. We began that passage that really opened the text where it says, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Now we'll be exploring this weekend what it means that Jesus, the incarnate Son of God, is called the Word. I mean, we don't want to skip over that. That's a very significant issue. And so the notion of that is that the Word speaks. So what are we supposed to learn when God sends his Son to be the Word?
Exactly.
I think that's a very significant issue, and we're going to explore that this weekend.
Excellent. And I think we have a special evening that Sunday.
We really do. We haven't done this for a while, but from time to time I think it's a wonderful thing to do. The Bible talks a lot about healing, and people in the Bible are healed. And at the same time, we have a lot of people who have physical ailments of one sort or another, even emotional or ailments of the mind, even that kind of thing. That a special touch from the Lord would really be glorifying to the Lord and encouraging to his saints. Right. And the Bible has some very specific instructions about how that should take place. Healing is not is something that gets to be distorted in one direction or another. People discount it altogether. People get wrapped up head over heels in it in another direction. But the Bible is very balanced in its approach, and so we're going to spend some time teaching about healing, but then also having a kind of healing service that is described in the 5th chapter of the book of James, in which the elders will anoint people who are interested in having a special touch from the Lord in terms of healing, and the congregation will actually gather around and be involved in that healing process as well. So everybody will be involved, everybody will worship together, hear some instruction on it, And we are trusting the Lord that some people will really get a wonderful sense of the presence of the Lord and will find health for their bodies in ways that they may not have known for quite some time.
Excellent. So we'll look forward to that.
Absolutely.
And Randy will be back with the music
That's right.
from his time with his family. So we're looking forward to a good weekend.
Yep.
So we look forward to seeing you on Sunday. Come and join us. And thank you once again for tuning in to Village Church Connections.
And now it's time to recap the top stories from this week. By now, I'm sure you're aware of the newest addition to Shell Point's leadership team. Martin Chappell is the Executive Vice President and is expected to succeed President Peter Dice as he retires at the end of this year. You can read about him in the April issue of Shell Point Life. But for more insight, Mary Kay had the opportunity to sit down with Mr. Chappell to learn about his experience, background, and what he brings to Shell Point.
Welcome, everyone. We're here today to meet the newest member of the Shell Point leadership team. It's Executive Vice President Martin Chappell. Well, welcome, Martin, to Shell Point.
Thanks, Mary Kay.
Although you're not really new to Shell Point, and neither are we to you. Tell us a little bit about your history here.
Right. Actually, my introduction to Shell Point was probably close to 20 years ago when my wife and I moved down. My in-laws retired and decided to join our family, and so they brought along with them my wife's great aunt, Aunt Maisie, and she was a resident at King's Crown, and so that was our first introduction to the island and to the services provided at Shell Point. So fast forward, then David Moreland was our Sunday school teacher of ours, and so he felt strongly about introducing Peter to me, and Peter and I met and began a relationship about 9 years ago, which then led into an opportunity to serve on the board. And as a result, have been a board member with the foundation for about 8 years.
Well, one of the questions that I did want to ask and have you share with our audience is how you bring that experience and background of your previous career to Shell Point and what you'll be doing here as the Executive Vice President and successor to our president role.
Right. Well, let me explain a little bit about my background so that people have a chance to get to know more about me professionally. I have a bachelor's in psychology and a master's in counseling, and started my career as a clinician practicing as a marriage and family therapist. From there, realized that I had an interest and a passion for business as well, and so moved into healthcare administration in behavioral health. Started out in a development program and then ran a psychiatric hospital as the chief executive officer. From there, the role matured into multiple facilities, and not only over a particular state, the state of Florida, but then graduated into a national responsibility. More recently, in my position that I've held over the last 16 years, had approximately 70 facilities, 70 psychiatric hospitals that reported to me either directly or indirectly across the country. So some of the experience that I bring with me to Shell Point is about healthcare and about being responsive to the patient or to the consumer. Also, familiarity with business operations in terms of human resources, business development and marketing, finance, strategic planning. Much of my experience is in the for-profit world, and so I bring a bit of a different paradigm, a different orientation with me, but actually cut my teeth early in my career in the not-for-profit world, working for a community agency. So I think I bring with me a relevant experience that I'm looking forward to utilizing here.
Well, you've been on board now since March 21st, a little longer than a month. What have you been up to, and who have you been meeting with, and how have you been getting oriented to Shell Point?
Sure. Well, for anyone who knows Peter, then the initial answer is obvious, in that he had a very robust agenda planned for me the initial couple of weeks, where there was an orientation and an exposure to all of the departments at Shell Point, such as human resources, marketing, finance, etc. And that was a great addition to my experience as a board member. So there was some foundation there already, but then that immersion over the first couple of weeks was maybe taking me from 50,000 feet to 25,000 feet in terms of experience. Since that first couple of weeks, I have now kind of dropped the altitude a little bit more and spending more and more time with individual department heads. A fair amount of time walking the campus. I love touring, walking through the different buildings just to meet residents and to introduce myself. And as well working on some committees as well at this point, learning a little bit more about some of the special projects.
Okay.
Whether that's accreditation or whether that's related to the opening of the clubhouse or such things as information technology, et cetera. So some of those special projects are now moving me closer and closer to a more full understanding of the daily operation. So
and day-to-day with the residents as well.
And day-to-day with the residents. It has been a pleasure and a true privilege to get to meet the residents and to hear their stories. That's the thing.
I agree with you there.
That is so impressive is that everyone has a story, and to listen to their stories and their history and what brought them to Shell Point, it just brings a smile to my face, and that it just confirms more and more that this is where I am to be, and that I am honored to have the opportunity to work with such amazing people.
That's true. Well, tell me a little bit shortly about what you think are Shell Point's biggest assets, some of the things that we bring, that we are offering our residents the best it can be, versus competition or other things in the future that we might be facing as challenges.
Right. I think that the first thing that comes to my mind is Shell Point's heritage. I think when you understand the decades of history here and what the history is built on, which is the Christian and Missionary Alliance denomination and the constructs of that denomination, and you see those being expressed through the leadership. I think that's one of our greatest strengths, is our history. I think a second strength that I've noticed is the stability in the leadership here. Peter's tenure here is unheard of in most industries. I think especially when you're in healthcare, something that I'm familiar with, it's not uncommon to see senior leadership move frequently. This is such an amazing tenure here with Peter, being here the 30 years, that creates a sense of stability to the organization, a sense of predictability. It brings a level of I think, planfulness, because it's not about short-term decision-making, it's about longitudinal thinking. Right. So I think that makes this community unique, and I think that's one of the reasons for the community's success today, is that the vision Peter set 30 years ago was about something that would be sustainable through today and forward. And I think probably a third area is the scale of Shell Point. This is the largest single-site CCRC in the state of Florida, and that affords our staff and our residents with so many privileges, the amenities that we can provide, the experiences that we can offer, the diversity of what our population looks like in terms of our residents is unique.
Tell us a little bit about you personally, and then we'll know you as the person that you are.
I was born in Miami and raised on the southeast coast in Miami and Hollywood area. Went to college in Winter Park, Florida at a small school called Rollins College, which is where I earned my bachelor's in psychology, and then left the state for a while for graduate school in Atlanta at Georgia State, where I earned my master's in counseling. Moved on to North Carolina for about 10 years, where I was married and we started our family, to then move back to Florida about 23 years ago for a transition with my employment, a transfer. And so we have been in Fort Myers area now 23 years and have absolutely loved the west coast of Florida.
Well, that's great to hear. Tell us a little bit about the drivers that you see guiding us as we move forward in the future at Shell Point?
Sure. I think when I think about the priorities, the first priority for me is making sure that we live up to our mission and our core values of caring, serving, and satisfying. That's very important to me. Again, I think that when you have core values, that serves as the foundation of everything that you do here. The second driver, I think, would be our resident satisfaction. I want to make sure that we are listening, that we're responsive to our residents. That's why I'm here, is for them, and to ensure that their experience at Shell Point is one that's positive and fulfilling. And then thirdly, I really want to concentrate on employee engagement. We're not making widgets here, we're serving people. And I want to make sure that our employees are served so that they in turn can provide the appropriate level of service to our residents.
Well, that's great to hear. I am certain we're going to be seeing a whole lot more of you and getting to know you. The residents will get to know more of you as they get to meet you, Martin.
I hope so.
Well, thank you, everybody, and thank you, Martin, for joining us today. We'll learn more from Martin in the months and years to come. Thank you for joining us. Everyone knows that the key to having a properly functioning and dependable vehicle is to have it serviced on a regular basis. Lucky for us at Shell Point, whether it's a car, truck, or golf cart, Scotty's Automotive is available right here on the island. They'll keep your ride in top shape and even come to your rescue should you have a problem starting your engine. We checked in with Scotty himself this week to find out what's happening lately at the Island Garage.
Scott, well, it's good to see you. It's been a while since we've been over here to the Scotty's Automotive right here on the island at Shell Point. And I haven't been talking to you, not because you haven't been busy, but quite the opposite. I understand you've been really busy.
Yeah, we've been pretty busy. It's been a good season.
Excellent, excellent. Well, now it's beginning to approach the summer months. It's a lot hotter outside, and you've got a lot of residents who've gone up north for the summer. And we just kind of want to talk about that. You still have the summer special deal where you basically take care of their car and get it ready for them for when they return, right?
I do, yeah. For those who haven't left yet, we do provide a summer service. They fill out a form and we take care of their car or golf cart while they're gone for the summer. So when they return, their car starts, it's clean, so we take care of them while they're gone.
Well, that's nice.
And sometimes Shell Point's doing some maintenance stuff during the summer months, either painting or power washing. Sometimes the cars need to be moved, and we also provide that too. So
yeah, so they don't have to worry about that if some maintenance is going on here on the property. Who's going to move my car? I hope my car's not going to get damaged by the paint people or the maintenance. You're going to take care of all that for them.
We do.
And so you just put their info right over here with their keys.
Yeah. Yep, there's a summer service form that the residents will fill out. They leave me a key, garage door opener for some who live out here in the houses, and sometimes they want certain things done to the vehicle while it's gone, and they'll write that down on there, and we'll change the oil before they come back or stuff like that.
So Scott, it's safe to say you've had a busy year, but now that the summer months are here, things have slowed down.
Yes, quite a bit.
So if someone has been thinking about bringing their car in for service, now's a great time, right?
Yes, it is.
So they may not have to wait as long as they would have in the peak season.
Correct. Yeah, it's a lot slower now in the summertime. So we can get them in and out pretty quickly.
So give Scotty a call so he can come check your car out.
Yeah.
Now, if they have an emergency, meaning their car won't start or it's acting real funny and they're afraid to bring it here, what do they do?
We'll come pick it up.
You'll come pick it up?
Yeah, I probably do about 3 jump starts, 3 to 4 a day.
Wow.
Yeah, for some people that don't drive a lot, their cars usually don't start. But, we do jump starts and road calls. I have a towing company that works exclusively with me.
So even if they're out of the property and they're somewhere else, you can assist them as well.
I do. I just towed one in from Publix down the street.
Well, that's great. Well, as the temperatures rise, it puts a strain on those batteries too once they start getting aged.
Yeah.
So.
And definitely in the summertime, I just want to mention again the monthly service on the golf carts of checking the water in the batteries, checking the tightness of the battery cables, air in the tires. Especially in these summer months, the water in the batteries are going to evaporate really fast. And the last thing you want to do is run your batteries low on water. It will ruin them.
Damage them.
Definitely.
And you're looking at a new battery.
Yeah. Batteries.
batteries. These
Yeah,
golf carts
6 of
have a
them.
lot of batteries.
Yes.
You got a lot to take care of there.
Yeah.
So I understand that in addition to that service that they might need for their car, their golf cart, that when it comes to cars, you've been busy with some other things going on. What if someone has decided maybe it's time to sell that car? Can you help them out?
We do provide that service. It wasn't something I thought I was going to be doing when I first got here, but I've been asked a lot to, when they give up driving, to sell their vehicle for them. A lot of them don't want to be bothered with trying to list it or all the phone calls or showing the car, and I do that all for them.
It's not as easy as one may think to sell a car. It's not just putting it on Craigslist or something.
Even that is tough. I mean, you got to answer a lot of phone calls. People want to come and see the car all hours of the day, and so I provide that service for the residents. It wasn't something, like I said, I thought I was going to be doing when I got here, but I was asked to do it, and it's been working out well.
Great, great. Well, I understand too, you've refurbished some golf carts too. There's someone needs to pick one of those up.
Yes, we do. I've bought some used golf carts and we refurbish them. We put new batteries in them and tires. So we do sell some golf carts here too. I have like 6 for sale right now. Some of the new residents that are now moving in, a lot of them are coming to me asking me for a golf cart, a refurbished one, and we do have them for sale also.
So I imagine by buying a refurbished golf cart, they can save a couple bucks there, right?
A few thousand.
A few thousand?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's good to hear. Now, I understand in addition to that, we're going to take a trip out into your shop and meet someone that is working with you now on some car detailing. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's go meet him.
Okay.
So who do we have here?
This is Marcelo. He's my full-time detailer. He details cars, washes cars. He does provide a full detail of the car, which usually consists of washing it. Then he clay bars it before he washes it, which gets any antioxidants off of the paint that the car soap is not going to get off. The interior of the car gets done, carpets shampooed, floor mats. The seats are leather, they get leather conditioned. The guy does a tremendous job. He's been doing it for over 25 years now, and he's probably the best detailer I've ever seen. He does work for me full-time here at Shell Point, so if residents want to get their cars either washed, vacuumed, or a full detail, they just need to call and set up an appointment.
Well, you bring up an interesting point because, unlike just washing your car, especially here in Florida, you have a lot of contaminants and things in the environment. You have pollen that gets all over the car. I don't know if tree sap is an issue here.
There is tree sap.
Tree sap's an issue here. And so a lot of things that a normal car wash won't do, but Marcelo, he can get all that off the car and get it looking shiny new again, right?
He can. He does an excellent job. And then some of the car washes, if somebody just wants a basic car wash, we can do that too. I'm not a big fan of the drive-through car washes. People know stuff get ripped off, antennas and
they leave water spots. And,
yes.
Yeah.
So, a hand wash is a lot better than a car drive-through. But yeah.
So the detailing, the clay bar, that's real important.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know about the clay bar, but it's very important to do before you wax a car.
You have a lot going on since the last time
We do.
I
We try to
came.
cover a lot of bases here, and things kind of proceed as I've been here. Like I said about selling cars and stuff like that. Wasn't sure that's what I was getting into coming here, but being asked that,
Well, the benefit of you too, Scott, is because you have that big facility with all those bays and all those mechanics out on McGregor. So there's no repair job that's too big because if you can't do it here, you'll just have their car sent over there.
We do that a lot.
Yeah. So you have the entire Scotty's Automotive, both here at Shell Point on the island and out on McGregor, at your disposal. So when the service is needed or service before repair is needed is really what's important. Get that vehicle maintained, that golf cart or that car at Scotty's before you have a serious repair down the road. Scott, it's good to see you again and hear about everything that's going on here. So give them a call at Scotty's. Also this week, we gave you another look at the Shell Point property from up above. So sit back, relax, put your feet up, and take a sip of delicious tea or coffee and enjoy this flyby tour.
Earlier this week, we checked out some very interesting and yet not so well-known places right here at Shell Point. Some of them you'll want to get out and enjoy for yourself, while others you'll only get an exclusive view of right here.
Shell Point is a big place. Altogether, the property encompasses approximately 400 acres. And you know, on these 400 acres, there are a lot of out-of-the-way and interesting places that most folks never see. Or there might be some places that you pass by often, but have never really stopped to see what's there. So we thought we'd take an opportunity to show you some out-of-the-way and interesting places at Shell Point that are rarely, if ever, seen. For example, this big area above the sign wall is large enough to hold a pretty substantial sized building. And no doubt one of these days there will be a building here. And this is something you see every time you drive into Shell Point. But until I walked around here, I really had no idea how much space was really here. Just north of the sign wall and south of the drive into the springs is this big open area right here. This is big enough to land a helicopter in, which has happened several times. You all know where the Shell Point billboard is, just near the entrance, but what you might not realize is immediately to the north is quite a tract of land that is all woods. So who would think that not even 100 yards off of McGregor, there is this woods that seems like a primeval wilderness. And this is the Borrow Pit Lake that's just north of the springs. Now when Shell Point Boulevard was made, they pulled sand out of here to raise the level of the roadbed. I've been told that this lake is about 40 or 50 feet deep because a lot of sand came out of here. And until recently, this lake was entirely surrounded by the kind of vegetation you see on the far side. It was recently cleared on the south side and is going to become a part of the development of the Springs area. And probably it'll get a different name than Borrow Pit Lake, I would think. And I'm standing now at the green for the 19th hole of the Shell Point Golf Course. The 19th hole, you'll ask, well, it's the one for which the fairway is Shell Point Boulevard. It's the display hole that welcomes folks to the Shell Point Golf Club. Adjacent to that display hole happens to be the bathroom stop and water and ice station for the front 9 holes. Just west of the 12th hole of the golf course is this sizable woods area. And it was left this way in the middle of the golf course because back when the development was happening, there was an eagle's nest here, a pair of eagles nesting. So the woods is still here. The eagles didn't come back, they've been long gone, but there's still quite a woods here in the middle of the golf course. There's several interesting architectural features here at the entrance area to the estuary. There's this small outdoor chapel here, and it's a really lovely spot for some quiet contemplation. This pretty little bridge across the lake at the estuary is a prime feature for taking a stroll in this area. There haven't yet been a whole lot of activities here at the Commons building at the Cove at the estuary, but in the future, there's probably going to be some things going on here you'd like to attend. Out here near the chiller plant, which provides you air conditioning, Shell Point actually has a nursery. And the Steve Morton and the grounds crew team propagates plants here for use all over the property, and by doing so they save a tremendous amount of money. But it's just like going to a regular nursery here. There's all kinds of plants that they're growing, and they make their way all over the property. And here on the north side of the arbor, just adjacent to the parking lot, is this gate. It's a passageway into the St. Charles Yacht Club residential area. It's controlled by an electronic latch, and frankly, I don't know how you work it, but if you need to get through there, there's a way. On the northeast side of the arbor, there is this ancient Indian mound. Maybe it was used for burials. I don't know that anybody really knows. But when the property was developed, a lot of fill was brought in, but no fill was put here where the mound is. You can see that the fill actually drops off and there's a depression, but then from there it goes up and there is this mound. It's a little bit hard to see because of all the foliage, but if you're adventurous and want to trek back in here, you can actually see that it's a mound. Just behind the arbor on the east side, right next to this beautiful mature Royal Poinciana tree, is the arbor's gazebo. It's a beautiful little place. Arbor residents have events here from time to time, but the rest of the time it's just sitting here waiting for you to come and sit and enjoy it. There's a pretty little pond here by this roadside rest stop along Shell Point Boulevard. If you're taking a walk or riding your bike, this is the place to stop and just rest and enjoy the scenery a little bit. Now here's a spot I know you know about. These benches that are under the two huge Cuban laurel trees along the lagoon. But if you haven't taken time to sit here and just soak in this view, boy, it's one of the delights of Shell Point. Now here's a spot not to be missed. It's the island pond out here in the middle of the garden apartment, sometimes called the garden apartment pond. And there's these two cute bridges here and this island in the middle. Now your neighbor Gaz Goslin spent a lot of time redoing this island here, turning it into a beautiful spot. And wow, it's just lovely. Look at the view over here into the pond. Sometimes you just got to take a little time to sit here on this little island and enjoy it. One of my favorite things about the landscaping here at Shell Point are these beautiful Royal Poinciana trees that we have all over the property. You can't miss them when they're in bloom like this. They're just gorgeous. Some places in the world they call them a flamboyant tree for a good reason. I planted one of these in my backyard and I just hope that someday it looks like this. Part of the wonderful charm of the garden apartments is that each building here on the island has a courtyard, and each courtyard has a lovely feature to sit and enjoy, such as a fountain, or in this case, in Teledora, there's a koi pond. And boy, these fish have really gotten big since the last time I was here. A wonderful way to spend an afternoon is to just go from building to building and check out each one of these lovely features. I'd love to just sit by each one of them and do a little thinking. Keep watching Shell Point TV. We'll have more of these out of the way and interesting spots to show you in the near future.
Well, that's going to wrap things up for this weekend edition of Shell Point Today for May 27th, 28th, and 29th. I'm Rich Nation.
And I'm Mary Kay Grimaldi. Thank you for watching this week, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Have a great Memorial Day weekend, everyone.